If you are in your mid-50s and are thinking about retirement, this video is for you. If we haven't met, my name's Tony Hansman. I'm the owner of Guardian Financial, and we do hypothetical case studies for your benefit. So today we're going to talk about Ryan and Blake, hypothetical. You can see here on the screen that we've got Ryan works for ABC. He makes about $80,000 a year, and we're giving him a 2% increase in his salary. And he's thinking about retiring somewhere between now and the age of 65. His wife, Blake, works for XYZ. She makes $60,000 a year. And again, they want to retire somewhere between now and the age of 65. So I'm just going to pretend like they want to retire right this moment. And let's just see how long their money lasts based on their assets. We're going to come back to that in just a second. But just take a look at this, that right now the computer shows that they're going to run out of money at the age of 63. So can they retire today? Probably not. So we're going to make them work a few more years. Ryan and Blake both said, hey, listen, they're okay with working until maybe around the age of 65. If they retire a little bit early, obviously one of the big things that people forget about is what are they going to do for health insurance cost? So we did some calculation, and Ryan and Blake gave me their Social Security information, and their PIA at their full retirement age, which is 67 for them, is going to be $2,900 for Ryan. You can see that. And for Blake, it's going to be $2,700. We're going to give them a cost of living adjustment of 2.75% after they turn it on. You can go up here and take a look at, that's what the 10-year average has been. The 50-year average has been 3.7%. We're going to use a lower number for today's case studies. If you watch any of our other videos, you'll see I'll often use even a lower case or lower cost of living percentage. No pensions for these two. So let's jump over to their assets and let's take a look at what's going on. So Ryan has a 401k, and he's got $275,000 in that plan, and he's contributing $1,000 a month. Blake also has a 401k of about $150,000, and she's contributing $750 a month. Now, they've been through Dave Ramsey program, and I've seen this many times. Dave Ramsey's the 7 baby steps. And I would call these folks, they've graduated from Dave Ramsey, okay? They don't need Dave Ramsey anymore. They're in their mid-50s. They've saved over $1,000. They've paid off all their debt, minus maybe their house. They're investing for the long term. They're doing all the saving for college. They're paying down the house. They're giving. They're doing all of Dave Ramsey's program. They have graduated from Dave Ramsey. So we're moving on. You can see over here, we're still using the envelope system that Dave talks about. They've got an emergency account. They've got a savings account. But one here, you'll notice that they don't have any sort of Roth money. And this is where I think most people in their upper 50s, young 60s, when they come see us, this is one big area that they've made a mistake on. They've got almost too much money in pre-tax dollars and no after-tax money or any Roth tax-free dollars. And I'd like to see a better balance. And so that's one thing that this couple is definitely missing when I first noticed it. Their house, they still have a debt, a little bit of mortgage on the house, but they're saying the value is about $600,000 in today's market. And so I'm going to go down using a weighted average of only less than 6% on the investments. We go over to the expense tab, and you can see that they say, hey, listen, when we do retire at the age of 65 or 67, somewhere in that range, that we think we need about $5,500 to maintain our standard of living. And so I would never do this, but this is just a quick summary for this hypothetical case. And you can see I've just summarized it, but a true better way to do this is go into this advanced planning and literally to write out every single monthly expenses that you think you're going to have. If you have a mortgage and the payment's locked in, you're not going to see a 3.2% inflation, but maybe it's more for real estate. Maybe it's less for food or more for food or clothing. So I would encourage you to make sure that you're going through and having a detailed expense item. This is just a hypothetical. You can see the 0. I click out of this. We're going to use 3.27% for the average inflation rate. We can have fun and argue that one all day long. The 10-year average is 2.82. The 110-year average is 3.27. We all agree that it's different for different things. We go to a different site and we could take a look at what they are for clothing, for gas, for all those different things. But for today's case, we're going to keep it super simple. So we're going to dive over the retirement tab. And what do we say? We're going to make them work until the age of 65 right there. That's January of 2033. Come over here to the retirement tab because we're thinking of income planning first, then investments, then tax planning, then long-term care or health care, and then we'll wrap it up with some sort of estate planning, your wills, your trust, etc. And so you can see, hey, they get redlined or run out of money. That's what redline means at the age of 97. So not too bad. But let's take a look at where money's coming from and where we're pulling it from. So if they do work to age 67, which is in the year 2035, you can see the only income that they're currently turned on because they don't have any pensions is Brian and Blake's Social Security. We gave them that small cost of living adjustment. You can see it goes up every single year when they're 68, a little bit more when they're 69, up to 70, and on and on and on. Well, what did they say? They wanted $5,500 in today's environment, but that's going to feel more like about over $7,000 when they go to retire at the age of 67. So inflation is going to feel like they need almost $8,000. So they're going to have to pull the difference from their assets. So you can see they need about $2,300 more per month to maintain their standard of living. Here to the right is their assets that are currently growing. You can see here's the 401k, the emergency money, and each year going down each line each year of what's happening to those account balances. You can see even by pulling a little bit of money out, those account balances are still continuing to grow for a little while. This column right here is the protected assets. That's just the house. Now I can give the house some sort of inflation increase, but I didn't in this case, just to keep the case simple to understand. But truly, this is the value of their home, and you obviously, most likely, we'd hope the value of that house is going to go up. So later, when they get in their retirement years, maybe they can sell the house, downsize. They have multiple different options. Hopefully, the house is paid for later down the road. But you can see here, the assets don't start coming down until right about into their mid 80s. Kind of dipping into that principle here. This is with no tax planning whatsoever. I'd highly encourage you doing some tax planning much earlier than never. You can see them, they get redlined at 97. So income planning doesn't look too bad at a first glance. So let's head back over to our expense tab. Just going to confirm there's the $5,500. Here's the inflation that we're using. Again, I'd encourage you to make sure you're using advanced expense tab or making sure that you're line itemizing everything. Cash flows is going to be for if you have gas, rental rights, oil rights, etc. And let's go here, take a look at our tab number 8, which is life insurance. I don't believe Ryan and Blake, they have any life insurance. The kiddos are all moved out of the house. The only debt that they have after going through Dave Ramsey's program is just the mortgage. So they're paying that down. They feel like they didn't have any need for any external life insurance that they didn't already have through work. So that's a personal choice. Don't see a huge need for that one there for them. But here's the one that most everybody forgets, and this is the long-term care. This is tab 9. And you can see, I often hear people say, well, I'm not too worried about long-term care because my kids will take care of me. Well, honestly, that's probably not the best plans because most kids, they don't want to take care of their parents, or they live out of state, or it's just an inconvenience. I'm sure they love you very much, but there's probably better options besides just hoping and praying the kids are going to take care of you. So in 2024, going into 2025, you can see if you wanted a private room, what the nursing care facilities cost in our particular state here, it's going to vary state by state. Semi-private room is almost $7,000, and I can attest that. I've helped many clients, even put my own mom to a nursing facility a couple years ago. But they don't need long-term care at the age of 56, right? They're most likely going to need it down the road in their 80s or so. So at age 80, we're looking at the future cost of long-term care is actually going to be not $7,000 or $8,000, but over $16,000 in our 80s. So what's that do to the plan if we have to suck out money to take care of long-term care? So here's the assets growing here over on the right-hand side. And then we'll say in 2048, when we hit 80 years of age, one of those folks, one husband and or wife, Ryan or Blake, need to go to a nursing facility. It's going to cost $16,000 in the first year per month, right? And then the next year it goes up a little bit more, and then the next year, and then the next year. 4 years in this example of having to go to a private room for long-term care, and you can see the assets went from $1 million, boom, down to zero. So this is one of the biggest problems or holes that people have in their retirement bucket, and something that's very, very, very important, since over 50% of the people have to go to a nursing facility or have some sort of at-home care. This is one of the biggest problems in retirement planning that is overlooked. I would say the first one is going to be investments. I can't stand mutual funds. I'm not a big proponent of mutual funds. If you have them, please watch all of our other videos on why, in my personal opinion, you need to dump mutual funds. They were great maybe 20 or 30 years ago, but there are things that are much, much better for you today. And then the next one is going to be tax planning. Most financial advisors don't do tax planning. You definitely need to be thinking about tax planning much sooner than later. And you can see that Blake and Ryan have no tax planning whatsoever. I'd encourage them right away. They're overfunding their 401ks, and they're creating a bigger tax problem down the road. They literally, in this example, this is not for everybody, but in a quick example to take a look at this, they should both consider funding a Roth IRA and stop overfunding their 401k at work. So let's go stress test this portfolio, and let's just simply say, hey, listen, when we do retire, what's it look like if the first 2 or 3 years in retirement are negative years and you're pulling money out of your brokerage accounts? How does that affect the long-term effect on that portfolio? So you can see we've got Ryan and Blake in 2033 retiring at the age of 65. And on the left-hand side, right, they make it all the way down to age 97. No problems, all looks good. But right here, if they retire at 65 and the market's down 11% the first year and they're pulling money out of their brokerage account, then the next year it's down 10%. They're pulling more money out. And the third year it's down 9.55%. So 3 straight years of pulling money out, and the market was down those 3 years. And you can see that the money dies about 7 years early. So I would never suggest this. You need to have other money set off to the side for a rainy day just like this. I'm not a big proponent of, as the market's down and you're pulling money out, you need to be very, very cautious of that. Yes, it's going to happen, but you need to be monitoring it and be ready to adjust proactively before that time comes. So as we do these hypothetical cases, I try to relate them to real life cases that I'm personally involved with and doing. And today was simply about, hey, listen, when you're in mid-50s, you need to be thinking about income planning. Are you on track to be able to have the amount of income that you want when you do want to retire? If you retired before the age of 65, have you thought about what you're going to be doing for health insurance? When are we going to turn on our Social Security? Does it make sense to turn on at 65, 66, 67? Have we looked at some different calculations there and prepared for that? A lot of things to be thinking about, but my biggest thing to be thinking about right now is, what are you doing for taxes? Should we be doing Roth conversions? So you should be funding your IRA or your 401k or your Roth outside of work to help balance more of your pre-tax and your after-tax and your tax-free dollars. So anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you. And reach out to us if you ever need anything. We're all happy to throw your information into the software, kind of give you an idea of where you're at, but always remember to consult a licensed professional who understands your specific goals and dreams.